Hello everyone, my name is Pris from Prisperuses and welcome to another video. Today we are gonna be talking about some of my absolute favorite books because this is going to be a whimsical book recommendation. Of course, I am making this video because actually two reasons. One, I absolutely love whimsical books, and two, I am on Team Serane for the Realm-A-Readathon. If you don't know what Realm of the Readathon is, it is a readathon created and hosted by my good friend Cassidy from Covers with Cassidy. I will link all the information down below so you go and check it out. But basically there are 4 realms that are battling it out with each other. I am part of Team Serane, and Team Serane has as a subgenre whimsical books. Team Serane is led by 2 amazing friends of mine, known to be Maddie and Rye. I will link them down below, so go check out their channels as well. Let's dive into some of these whimsical books. Putting these books together was actually quite easy. I have done it within 5 minutes because most of these books were on my favorite shelves already. First up, we have the Winter Night trilogy by Catherine Arden. Oh boy, is this whimsical. This is absolutely fantastic and I highly recommend. This is all about the coming of age story of Vasya. This is highly inspired by Slavish folklore, and the writing in this is so magical, so whimsical. I loved every single page of this, and I highly recommend picking this trilogy up. Next up is Spinning Silver by Naomi Novik. This is a reimagining, retelling of the fairy tale Rumpelstiltskin. It follows 3 sisters. It was so magical, so good. I highly recommend this. Then we have a book by one of my new favorite author, which is The 10,000 Doors of January. The cover alone is so magical and whimsical, but the story even more so. I sobbed my eyes out during this. At the end, I was so incredibly touched by some of the passages in this book. This is about a girl called January, and she has the ability to find doors that leads to other worlds. There is also a kind of journal diary featured in this, which has incredible entries and stories. So we have books within books, which is one of my favorite tropes. This is amazing and I highly recommend. Next up is a middle grade that I personally think is highly underrated, which is Breadcrumbs. This is a reimagining, retelling of the fairy tale The Snow Queen. I had not heard of this book. I just picked it up on a whim and I fell in love from the very first page. This was so good. It was quite emotional and deep for a middle grade as well, but the writing was lyrical, fantastic, and so magical and whimsical. Next up is The Girl Who Speaks Bear by Sophie Anderson. I reckon that all Sophie Anderson's books are quite whimsical, but this is absolutely my favorite and I think the most whimsical of the 3 of them. This is The Girl Who Speaks Bear, which follows a girl called Yanka who one day wakes up with bear legs. Then she goes out onto a quest in this forest that keeps calling her, searching for answers about herself and her past. This also has stories within stories. The stories are highly relevant to the main story, and how it all comes together in the end has been so cleverly done, and I just enjoyed this so much. Next up is Where the Mountain Meets the Moon. This is honestly also so underrated. This was absolutely fantastic. I picked this up on recommendation from Gavin, from How to Train Your Gavin, and it was fantastic. This is about a girl. She goes on a quest to find the old man of the moon so she can ask him how to bring more fortune to her family. The twists and turns in the stories were absolutely fantastic. The ending was brilliant and I teared up for sure. Next up we have The House in the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune. This is so magical and whimsical, but it is also so incredibly cute. This follows an orphan house with children that has magical abilities. And oh boy, this was fantastic. The children were fantastic. I want to adopt Lucy. He's just incredible. And I highly, highly recommend this. This is like middle grade for adults. It feels like a warm hug when you pick this up and read this. So if you ever need a pick-me-up, please pick this up because it is so, so good. Next up, we have Middle Game by Shauna Maguire. Shauna Maguire is known for her very quirky, whimsical style, but it is kind of on the darker side of the whimsicalness, whatever you want to call it. I highly, highly enjoyed this. This was so good. I didn't have a clue what was going on, but at the same time, I was so intrigued. This follows twins, Roger and Dodger. One of them is really, really good at language, and one of them is really, really good at mathematics. And this is basically their story. They have been created to like take over the world in a sense. And oh boy, this was just so, so good. It is quite dark, but you know, I like my darkness from time to time. Next up, we have the Strange the Dreamer duology, which is Strange the Dreamer and Muse of Nightmares. This follows Laszlo Strange, who is a junior librarian and has been obsessed with the lost and forgotten town of Weep. And one day a man turns up and he gets on a quest to this lost, forgotten town of Weep. This is lyrical and whimsical at its best. I know many people when they think of lyrical and whimsical books, like Strange the Dreamer is one of the books they think of the most, and it is very, very much true. This is also about books within books, which is just so fantastic. This journey that Laszlo goes on is absolutely wonderful, and I highly recommend. Next up, we have Nevermoor. Of course, I had to include this. The world of Nevermoor is so whimsical. It is absolutely fantastic. This follows Morrigan Crow, who is destined to die on her 11th birthday. Instead of dying, however, she gets whisked away by a very eccentric man called Jupiter North into the world of Nevermoor. There, she is set out to compete in these trials to become a member of the Wondrous Society. Very, very magical and whimsical. This also features trials, which is one of my favorite tropes. This is one of my favorite middle grade of all time, so I highly, highly recommend. Next up is The Invisible Life of Addy LaRue. Duh! How could I not include this? This is my favorite book of all time. I don't need to explain this to you. You all know this. This is about Addy who makes a deal with the devil, but after that, she cannot seem to be remembered by anyone, which makes her life very hard indeed. This is incredible. It's a love letter to life. It's about loving food, art, people, music. It is so intense and so incredibly beautiful. This is my favorite book of all time. And of course, it's a whimsical book. Next up, we have the Wayward Children series by Shauna Maguire. This is also really, really whimsical and fantastical. It is also can get quite dark at times, but I absolutely love this series. This is all about children who find doors to their own worlds, get to spend some time there, and then come back. Then they have to cope with the fact that they are no longer in the world of their choice. And there is this school, the Eleanor West School for Wayward Children, who set out to get these children to come to terms with the facts that they are no longer within the world of their choice. It is so incredibly hard-hitting at times, but definitely whimsical at its best. Next up, we have another book of Alex E. Harrow, which is Splintered. This is perfect for a readathon because it's a novella, very short, so definitely pick this up. This is a retelling, reimagining of Sleeping Beauty, but done in such a clever way, because I think the fairy tale of Sleeping Beauty is very boring. But the reimagining of this, it was just so incredibly good and fantastic. I absolutely love this. This is also queer. Oh my gosh, this was just absolutely magical, and I highly recommend. Next up is The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. Of course, I had to include this. If you ask me what this is about, I could not honestly tell you, because this gets so wild and holy shit, it's just incredible. This follows Zachary, who stumbles across a library book that describes his past. Like, and it's very detailed, so he knows this library book is about him. And he sets out on this quest and gets lost in the starless sea. Honestly, this book is so fucking beautiful. I cannot even put into words how much this book means to me. It's one of my favorite books of all time. It is so quirky and weird, and half of the time you don't even know what the hell is going on. But I like that in books. I know I'm kind of weird in that way, but it is so, so beautiful. And look at this cover. Isn't it stunning? I love this book so much. Next up is another Alex E. Harrow book, which is probably my favorite, which is Once and Future Witches. This was my favorite book of 2021. And guys, this was so good. It was so good. Holy shit. Yeah, Juniper, like one of the sisters we follow in this book, because we follow 3 sisters. Juniper lives together with Addy in my mind, rent-free. I think about her all the time, and she is just incredible. Holy shit. I picked this up on recommendation from Maddie, and she was just not wrong at all. There's a reason she's a captain of the Whimsical team, guys. There is a reason. This follows 3 sisters. They are descended from witches, and they want to bring witchcraft back, and they get themselves in a whole lot of trouble for this. This is also really powerful. I felt so proud to be a woman when I read this. I felt so proud to be alive, and I felt so alive during this book, and I was just so proud all the time, and I felt so powerful, and I was like, yes, I'm a fire-breathing dragon, and I can conquer the world. Hell yes. And honestly, you need to pick this up. Then we've come to the very last book, which is The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. Honestly, do I even need to tell you about this? I don't think so, but I shall anyways. This is about the Night Circus, which appears out of nowhere. It is so magical, and this book follows 2 characters who are having a magical duel between themselves. This has very, very little plot, but it is just so incredible. And the world and the Night Circus itself, I fell in love from page 1. This was just so, so good. Oh my gosh, I want to reread it already. It is incredible. It is so magical, so lyrical, so whimsical. And you need to pick this up. Those were all my whimsical book recommendations. As you can see, I am very passionate about each and every one of these because, you know, whimsical books are my favorite. I love them dearly with every fiber of my being. That's why I am on Team Serane for Realm-A-Thon, and I think you should be too. So come on, join us in our team. We have incredible captains, Maddie and Rye, and of course our goddess Cassidy. And now you have some whimsical book recommendations. So you're all set to go basically. Come on, join Team Serane. We got this. That was it for now, guys. I'm gonna leave you. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Thank you all so much for your continued support. You honestly mean the world to me. I am gonna leave you now, but I hopefully will see you soon with another video. Bye!